Morning, guys. So I'm here today to talk to you about a really pressing issue we have in Albuquerque, and that's the homeless population. Albuquerque today seems to be something of a ground zero for the homeless population. With the increasing number of homeless people occupying the streets, it begs the question, what can be done to minimize this tragic and unfortunate happenstance? So I know that you guys notice just around UNM alone that there are a lot of homeless people walking around Central and even sometimes on campus. And that kind of has cause for safety issues for students, staff, business owners, and homeowners just in this area alone. And in fact, the Central area is not even the worst area or the most heavily populated area of homeless people in Albuquerque. According to the data collected by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, there were 2,551 people counted in New Mexico as part of the annual homeless survey. That includes 290 veterans, 182 unaccompanied youth, and more than 600 people that were in family units. So I believe that one thing that we can do to help minimize this problem is incorporating a program that was actually first used in Finland in Europe, which is called the Housing First Initiative. And I believe this will help diminish Albuquerque's homeless problem by aiding in what is possibly hurting their chances of having a better life, which is having a shelter or having a home. There have been many attempts to address the homelessness problem in Albuquerque. Most have largely focused on emergency responses, so calling the police or sending them to a shelter, but all of those seem to me to be a sort of way to manage the problem just in the moment. There has not really been a permanent solution to this, and I believe that the Housing First initiative can be used as that permanent solution here in Albuquerque. And I think that providing houses for the homeless people first, before doing anything else, will allow them to solve their problems on their own, because not having to worry about where you're going to sleep or having a roof over your head is what I would think is getting in their way of having a better life. So, amongst the homeless population, the majority of them have one of two issues, and that is either addiction or mental health problems. So, amongst those afflicted with addiction, according to Michael's House, which is a treatment center for those who have addiction issues or mental health issues, 38% of the homeless population abuse alcohol, and amongst those who abuse alcohol, the majority of them are older, and 26% of the homeless population abuse drugs other than alcohol, and that group of people who rely on drugs are usually the younger people, so those who are in their teens or their early 20s. And going back to the mental health problems, according to the National Coalition for the Homeless, most of them are afflicted with schizophrenia, manic depression, and paranoia. And the population that are homeless who are afflicted by this are actually there because the mental health centers that usually take care of them are just dumping them on the street. They don't want to take care of them anymore just because it costs money to keep them in those institutions. So they believe not having them there will save them money, but in fact, it'll actually save taxpayers money to have them in a housing unit like that in the Housing First initiative, because it will take the care away from them having to pay for homeless people being administered to jails and prisons or hospitals. So And actually, I have a personal account from someone who benefited from the Housing First in Finland, and this is what they had to say about their issues with addiction and how this helped. So homelessness also meant daily alcohol use. It was not so much about getting drunk, but a way to pass the time. When I've had an apartment, I've spent several months without drinking. You can't get sober when you're homeless. No one can. So that just goes to show that if they have a roof over their head, that's going to give them more initiative to better their lives and solve their problems. And along with the Housing First initiative, the residents who are um, in the housing units will have access to mental health recovery, other services that will help them with their addiction to drugs and alcohol, and they will also have access to around the clock on site staff. And back to the saving taxpayers money, this will actually help taxpayers when compared to the cost of, like I said, serving the homeless people who are admitted into emergency rooms, shelters, and jails. And getting them off the streets will actually help them contribute to the economy. So once they have a home, they can worry about getting jobs and helping pay for their own housing. But overall, I believe the homeless problem in Albuquerque is very apparent now and has been brought up to the attention of the public. And as a community, we need to try and help those in need when we can. The number of people who are homeless in Albuquerque can be fluid, doesn't have to be static. So we can help with that. A Housing First initiative will help people get off the streets and back on their feet to better their lives or that of their family. I believe that everyone deserves an opportunity to better their situation and circumstance in life.